Other Big Ten teams and bowls. Let's start with Iowa. So they get to the Big Ten championship. They win the Big Ten West. It really was a remarkable season in many ways for
Yeah.
Iowa to win 10 games. The first team to ever average that few amount of points and win double-digit games in a season. They'll take on Tennessee in the Citrus Bowl. That's on New Year's Day. Iowa faced two ranked opponents this year, Penn State, Michigan, and they lost to both of them by a combined score of 57-0. So most of that was because those two do have elite defenses, and in all likelihood, their defenses are even better than Iowa's, which is saying something, because I think we both agree that the Iowa offense is still elite.
Yeah.
Even without Cooper DeJean, I think that they proved that. And honestly, the defense played well against
really well
in the Big Ten championship. So they've got a top 5 defense. Tennessee does come in, and it's an SEC school that can put points on the board. So it'll be interesting to see how this matchup plays out. A shout out to Phil Parker, deserved recognition, right? The Broyles Award, very deserved. I just feels like he could win something like that every year for the job he does on that defensive side at Iowa. But a fun finish to the season for Iowa, and we'll see now what they look like moving forward. Is it bringing Cade McNamara back as their quarterback? Is it trying to find somebody else that fits that? A lot of it's going to depend on what that offensive system is going to look like moving forward. But a positive season in many ways for Kirk Ferentz to get another double-digit win.
Yeah, absolutely. And if Taylor wins the Ray Guy Award, then it's like the perfect ending for the season, right? Phil
I was a little bummed he's not a Heisman finalist. I'm not going to lie to you. Hunting is winning, Todd.
Yeah. But just a couple things about this defense. You mentioned how well they played against Michigan. They held Michigan to 213 total yards. They had 4 sacks, only 66 yards rushing Michigan had against Iowa in that game. Now, the problem for Iowa, they couldn't do anything on offense, and they turned the ball over 3 times, and Michigan's got an outstanding defense as well, as we saw in that game. But Phil Parker, he's been the defensive coordinator there since 2012. He was a secondary coach for 13 years before that. He's the first defensive coach to win the Broyles since Brent Venables did in 2016 when he was a defensive coordinator at Clemson. Now, think about this. They were a great defense last year. He lost 7 starters off of that defense from a year ago, including 2 first-round picks and 2 other All-Americans. All right. And in 13 games this year, they allowed 15 touchdowns, 4th in the country in scoring defense, 13.2 points per game. In the last couple of weeks, he lost his best player, Cooper DeJean.
Not to mention, by the way, he also is missing at least 1, if not 2 players from the gambling scandal for the entire season.
That's right.
So that's
incredible.
They're starters. They were starters.
Yeah.
Continue.
No, it's just, they play defense. They're not aggressive and attacking and all that like Penn State is. And they're actually a lot more like Ohio State. I mean, they play more like Ohio State. Don't give up the big plays, very fundamentally sound, make you try to earn everything. Don't get beat over the top. Really good tacklers, really good fundamentally with their hands and footwork and everything. And they're kind of fun to watch on that side of the ball. I think one of the most intriguing things to pay attention to in the Big Ten over the next several months is who does Kirk Ferentz hire as an offensive coordinator, and what ultimately will that look like? Because if they ever figure it out at all on offense, Iowa will be right up at the top of the heap in the Big Ten because their defense will keep them there and keep them in games. And then the other one is D'Anton Lynn going from UCLA to USC as a defensive coordinator. How much of an impact does he make on the USC defense? Because again, if USC can get it figured out on defense, they're going to be at the top of the heap, even without Caleb Williams. Lincoln Riley is going to have quarterbacks in the pipeline, and they're going to be able to score points. But they got to figure out defense. Iowa's got to figure out offense, and if those two teams do, you've got some interesting company at the top of the league.
Yeah, could you imagine if you had the Caleb Williams-led offense from USC and combined it with the Phil Parker-led defense of Iowa? That would be – it almost feels like an unbeatable force if you could put those two together. All right, so it'll be interesting. That's, again, on January 1st, Citrus Bowl, number 17, Iowa, number 21, Tennessee.